We're here on the day of the Sweet 16. It was 18 years ago. Seems like yesterday, but every year it's brought up again and again and again. Our Sweet 16 game, the first time ever, the University of Washington Huskies met the UConn Huskies. We were a team, we were going in as 11th seed. We had knocked off Xavier by surprise, and then knocked off Richmond, played in DC. Flew back to Seattle and was headed back. It was crazy around the town. Nobody had really expected us to go to the NCAA tournament and win games. At 11 seed, being able to knock off Xavier was an unbelievable experience. But that whole week, I remember they were trying to decide whether we were going to stay on the East Coast or fly back and then fly back for our Thursday games. Ultimately, we flew back to Seattle and then had to fly back to Greensboro, North Carolina. That game, that shot has been replayed over and over and over again. Slam Online just released it. And for myself and for my teammates, it's really a bittersweet 16 at the end of the day. You talk about one of the highest moments of your life being up going into a timeout in the Sweet 16 with a chance to go to the Elite Eight, and then it happens. The heartbreaking moment. Rip Hamilton, with no time on the clock, puts the ball in the basket after time and time again, after attempt after attempt. The thing that happened this year, I don't know how many of you guys have seen it, but on Facebook and on Bleacher Report did a story on Richard Hamilton, from Richard Hamilton's perspective. And that really evoked emotion and memory. And one of the things that we do here at Watts Basketball, we can say we're game changers for life. And in the video, he suggests that game changed his life. And he talks about going blow for blow and being pushed to the limit. And in that experience, that's an experience that we both share, both the UConn Huskies and the University of Washington Huskies, and both teams from that environment. But what happened after was different, was drastically different. We went home. I remember we going to the locker room. I remember I kind of, it was before Russell Wilson, but if you guys know Russell Wilson, I kind of channeled my inner Russell Wilson. I shed tears in the locker room. I think we all shed tears in the locker room. And that lasted about 2 minutes. And then instantly I started thinking about my team, what we had accomplished, and what we could accomplish the following year. I remember going to the press conference after the game and talking with Todd McCullough, our big guy, about what happened on that last play. And Richard Hamilton was my guy. He was the guy who I was guarding. But when I saw Khalid Al-Amin shoot, I went to the rebound. I decided to go to rebound. Rich kind of backed up like he was playing safety valve. He's always in constant movement and motion. But I just knew with 2 7-footers on the court, and myself and Dion, really athletic wings, that we would be able to come up with that rebound. And then as though that ball went up and I was trying to tap it out, I think we had too many of our guys trying to tap it instead of trying to grab that basketball. And ultimately, like I said, the buzzer went off, the buzzer sounded. You can see our guard, Chris Thompson, laying on the floor, me under the basket. As my brother said to me, watching it a couple of days later, look at you, you just look so dejected. And I was very dejected. But like I said, it didn't last long. I became hopeful. On the video with Rip Hamilton and Coach Calhoun, they're talking about after they lost to North Carolina, they immediately started talking about winning a championship. And they said they won the championship immediately after they lost to North Carolina. They made a commitment to win the championship that next year. And for me, I felt like that was the mode that I was in. I had talked to some of my teammates and we had that same feeling, but when we came back to Washington, it all changed. And it's kind of where the business of college basketball got into the college basketball. I remember Coach Bender coming back, and then remember hearing that he was on a plane to Texas, looking at job opportunities and interviews. And, I don't know who or what to blame. I don't know if Miss Hedges, who, I love and respect, or Coach Bender, who I absolutely love and respect, had to do that in order to get the raise that he deserved and ultimately got, or if the school should have just put it out there before anybody else did. But what happened is when he's doing being recruited by schools, we're not concentrated and focused on winning the national championship, or they're taking the program a step further during that phase. You're not focused on recruiting, or if you are focused on recruiting and the recruits know that you're looking to leave, that I think that really changes your recruiting position, and it really changes the forecast of the program. So I think that was the first kind of loss or distraction that came as a result of going to the Sweet 16. That would be different than what I hear and what I understand happened at UConn. And then the other thing was later on in the summer, and I kind of, you look back on things, I kind of fault myself for this as a leader and a captain, is we lost one of our 7-footers, Patrick Finley, who was a tremendous big man, good footwork, ran the court well, had size, length, and was also a good athlete as far as how he ran and how he moved. And as a captain or as a leader of the team, I just caught wind that Patrick was going to Germany and that he wasn't coming back, that he wasn't going to come back for his senior year. And my attitude at the time was like, oh man, well, whatever. If he doesn't want to ride with us, he doesn't want to ride with us. I wish I would have had an opportunity to sit down with Patrick and talk to him about coming back and continuing what we had started, because we were all returning. The core of our team was returning. We were coming back ranked number 16 in the country. We had never, started a season ranked in the top 25. And if he had been with us without losing him, I know we would have been ranked higher and would have done better. So at the end of the day, the experience of playing in the Sweet 16 was a tremendous experience. It was game-changing. It was life-changing. I learned so much from playing against the University of Connecticut. Learned so much from playing against Richard Hamilton. I remember at the beginning of the game, I had seen, obviously, your college basketball, you know who Rip Hamilton is. He was the Big East Player of the Year. And I had seen him on TV. And I was surprised at jump ball because I think he was listed as 6'6". And when I looked at him, I was like, oh man, he's my height. And then I was surprised by how skinny he was. And I said to myself, and this is a lesson that Rip taught me in that game, I said to myself, oh man, I'm going to beast him. And I guarded him in the first half, and I chased him through screens. Actually, I think there was a play in the game where we got tied up and we're kind of behind, and I shot him a quick elbow to see what kind of heart he had. Because, like I said, he was a little guy from the standpoint of his frame, a lot smaller than I thought he was. And when I hit him, he just looked at me like he didn't respond or anything. I was like, oh man, I got him. He don't want to play me. But over the course of that game, I learned the Rip Hamilton effect. Man, he chased me. I had to chase him through screens. And in the first half, did a really good job of guarding. I felt really good about what I was able to do. But in the second half, those screens started catching up with me. And I remember a possession where he set the first screen. We were on, I think, the right side of the court, and I got hit with that screen. I was still on that screen, and he had ran through 3 others and was shooting the ball standing by himself in the corner. So I remember years later watching the Pistons when they were on their run and they're playing the Indiana Pacers, and Ron Artest talking about how he was going to play physical with them and beat them and bang them. And he tried it, and it might have worked for a quarter in that 7-game series. But Ron, I feel what you felt in one game. Rip would run you to death until your legs just you didn't have anything left. I came off open for a shot in the second half, and my legs were so tired that I pulled up and I shot it, and I missed it so bad it hit nothing but the backboard. And I was about 15 feet, but the shot was so bad that the ball bounced right back to me. And then I was able to go to the basket and get a layup. I believe I am one. But it was a tremendous experience. Connecticut Huskies versus the Washington Huskies. I learned a great deal. It dramatically changed my life, even though I was not able to go and continue to play in the NBA, fulfill my goal. What I was able to do was to fulfill the goal that I had for the school, for the University of Washington.